Howdy guys and gals, it's Dr. Steve here again from Elevate Sport and Spine Therapy here in Denver, Colorado. I just want to take some time today to talk to you about an exercise that I do with my patients after I've gotten them through the dying bug and quadruped track videos which I've made in the past. So try and master those ones first and then kind of work your way into this one, and it's a great way to kind of increase your stability and function overall. So basically what we're going to need for our exercise today is a piece of tubing and a door here like this that we can kind of shut it into. I wouldn't do what it is that I'm doing here, which is to put the band pulling towards the side that the door opens to, but this is just the way that my office happens to be set up. So if you're doing this at home, make sure you're pulling away from the side that the door closes to instead. So basically this exercise is what's known as a Pallof press, and what we do is use this band to challenge a couple of different positions while we are, kind of resisting this tendency for it to want to rotate us, or also if we have it overhead, its tendency to want to bend us to one side, which can help increase our stability in our hips, core, and shoulders. So basically what I do is I get my patients into a pretty basic position to start, which is this kind of high kneeling position here like this, where we have both of our legs together and we've adopted kind of a nice, good posture like we talk about in the other videos. So the first thing to really think about is having ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips, and that pelvis being in a good position by squeezing our glutes one time just to kind of see where that needs to be, and then kind of thinking about pulling that rib cage ever so slightly down towards the belly button. Once we have that posture established, we're going to challenge it a little bit by kind of getting away from the door to where we feel like it's trying to turn us a little bit. From there, what I have my patients do is that we just kind of slowly bring this band out in front and then slowly pull it back in for about 10 or 15 reps. What's happening here is that if I kind of let go of my core and my shoulders and hips, is that this band wants to kind of turn me in this direction, and that's what we want to try and fight. So we're trying to make sure that we are coming straight out ahead and then straight back in. After we've done some of these ones, the next thing to do is to go up overhead here like this, and then try and hold our position here like this, making sure that the band doesn't really kind of pull us into this bending position. So you want to be able to be in a position where you can just feel it kind of pulling you, but enough to where you can kind of succeed at this motion. Making sure when we're coming up overhead that we're kind of getting our head through the hole here and touching our ears to our biceps. After we've done 10 or 15 of those, then we can switch the direction that the band is pulling us by simply turning around. So now, if I press straight out in front of me, the band is going to be turning me this way instead, and then if I'm coming overhead, it's going to bend me to the left as well. So I would go through that same group of motions, pushing out in front, pushing out and overhead, but having the band pulling me the opposite direction. Once I get really good at that kind of high kneeling position here like this, we can kind of challenge that position a little bit more by maybe going into kind of a lunge position here like this, where we're in a bit of a wide stance, which we would have to do kind of out in front here like this, out and up overhead, and then switch sides, out in front, up overhead, and then switch back over to the other side, out in front, up overhead, then switch legs, same thing, out in front, up overhead. So you kind of get the idea, and that will kind of follow us through the rest of the motions. So from this high kneeling stance, what we can kind of do to make it more challenging is go into this kind of split stance where it's narrow, to where it makes us a little bit unbalanced, making sure that we're doing it from both sides and from that rotated part as well, and then coming up into a standing position, making sure we're in that good posture again, out in front, up overhead, coming from both directions, going into kind of a wide split stance, both sides, narrow split stance, both sides, and then getting into functional things like single leg standing on either side, doing our presses, and then also going up overhead. And you can see that it starts to get much more challenging as we start working into these single leg sort of things. And then working on sort of our squat positions here like this, while it's trying to turn me, and then up overhead. Again, making sure that we're changing which direction that pull is going. But you really can make this as hard or as easy as you want, but it's a great way to kind of challenge our positions make sure that we're using those stabilizing muscles accordingly. And it's pretty simple, just like that. If you have any questions about this or any of the other exercises, as always, feel free to hit me up at the clinic. Until then, happy work with this mobilizing stuff. Good luck. We'll see you next time. Take care.